Hey everybody. So today is day one of my extended fast that I'm doing. I decided last night to do a little bit of a longer fast, probably around the 3 to 3.5 day mark again. The last time I did a 3 day fast was probably like the second week of January. I think I did like January 13th or something like that. And I've done a prolonged 5 day fasting mimicking diet in between then. I think that was towards the end of February, if I recall correctly, middle of February, end of February. So it's probably been about 6 weeks now since I've 4 to 6 weeks since I've done any form of longer fast outside of my typical, just daily time restricted feeding, where I'm, usually fasting 12 to 16 hours and then kind of compressing my feeding window. But I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about my personal reasons why I'm fasting, and then I'm going to document kind of each day that comes here with a caveat that my wedding anniversary is actually tomorrow, and so there's a possibility. Oh, a dog just joined us. Possibility that I may adjust my schedule just to celebrate with my wife. But for me personally, there's a few things that fasting does. One is it helps me in one of the areas that I've probably been struggling with the longest in terms of my health, which is chronic nasal congestion. We think that this probably started after a snowboarding incident in grade 10. And I basically snowboarded or face planted on ice. Thankfully didn't break my nose, but probably deviated my septum and shift some internal structure there. And then after that, for a few years, developed really, really bad seasonal allergies, started doing some just different over-the-counter stuff. This was back in high school, and then in university, I did some of the kind of desensitization allergy shot injections, which I think might have actually ended up for a time period making me allergic to cats and dogs, because I wasn't allergic to cats and dogs prior to that on skin prick testing, and then after my first round of allergy shots I was. So probably some immune dysregulation that occurred there. Oh, we got a doggy here. Hi, buddy. Okay, thank you. And that's Group. You're gonna sit. And so I've for a long time I have dealt with the kind of just chronic congestion that ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not great. It definitely gets worse during the allergy season, and also food choices do have an impact on it. So generally, when I eat cleaner, and cleaner for me means corn, low corn diet or very little corn. And then usually dairy are probably the two bigger things that will cause nasal congestion for me. And so probably about a year and a half ago or so, I did have surgery to correct the deviated septum, which did help tremendously in kind of reducing my baseline symptoms, which has actually allowed me a more opportunity to find out what works. Because before the surgery, I basically it was a crapshoot on what was actually helping, because my baseline congestion was so high. Like every single night, I could not breathe through my nose to sleep, and so I became a mouth breather, which I would always wake up with very dry, sore throats and things like that. And so it was just never great on that front. So surgery really helped. After the surgery, things I've still ebbed and flowed, and for probably 3 to 4 months afterwards was really fantastic. And then slowly things have kind of been creeping back up, but still 80% better than where I was before surgery. So one of the things that I noticed when I do longer extended fasts is my nasal passages clear up a lot, to the point where right now I'm probably about 70% clear, as opposed to usually I'm about, on an average day, about 40% clear, and then on a bad day I'm 30%, 20 to 30%. And so usually by day 2, that kind of clears out, and I'm 90 to 100% clear, which is more of a temporary thing. I do get longer lasting benefits after my fast, meaning for a period of anywhere of 4 to kind of 8 weeks or so, I do notice a decrease in my baseline congestion, and I'm less responsive to food. So if I have some corn or some dairy, I don't react as strongly afterwards. And I think this is getting back to some of the immune system dysfunction that's contributing to everything that's going on. And then the other thing that's the one piece. Now the other thing that I really notice is it just helps me to control cravings. I'm a human like everybody else, and so things like coming home and having a drink to unwind, or craving sugary sweet foods, or just kind of junk food in general, that really decreases to basically nothing after a long period of fasting like this. Oh, we got dogs freaking out over here. And so that's one of the other benefits that I use it for, is it helps kind of reset that for me, so that way I can continue to more easily make choices nutritionally that are going to help promote health and longevity and those types of things. So overall, day one was actually pretty good. I did more teas than I normally do today, and did some warming herbs just to try and help offset some of the decrease in thyroid that we're going to see throughout the remainder of the fast. As fasting continues, T3 levels, so your active thyroid hormone levels, are going to go down, and reverse T3 is going to go up. That's a natural response to fasting, which makes people really cold. And so one of the ways that I combated it last time was I did some ginger lemon teas on day 3, but I'm going to try this time where I'm going to do more warming teas and herbs kind of all throughout the fast, to just see if I can make that a little more comfortable. The one thing that I don't know is, I don't know if there is a negative detriment to the fasting by doing that. So what I mean by that is, we don't have a lot of data on what can we modulate during our fast? What are the things we can do to offset some of the uncomfortable symptoms like hunger, fatigue, and feeling cold? What can we offset of those without actually impacting what we're looking to get out of the fasting, which is going to be, autophagy, mitophagy, and that type of stuff. And we got another doggo here. It's Moose. And so day one was overall pretty good. Definitely know that sleep's going to be a little bit more difficult tonight. It usually always is, because adrenaline levels and cortisol levels are a little bit higher when you're fasting. I know right now we are currently on social quarantining with COVID-19, and so probably in my video tomorrow, because we're at about 8 minutes right now already, but tomorrow I'll talk a little bit more on my personal decision to fast during a time like this, and why it might not be for everybody during a time like this, and for a lot of people it might actually not be recommended, but for some people it might actually be okay, and I'll kind of explain and go into that. So that is a recap of fasting for day one. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them down in the comments, and I will answer them as I can. See you later.